Over the past few weeks, I have been confidently and publicly on X here on YouTube calling for a larger drop to the downside to occur on Bitcoin. As I shared in my last video, I was super confident on that. Why? Because I had a extremely high probability based off of my statistics that the support will break and further downside will come. And we have seen that. Yesterday, we saw once again a very large drop to the downside on Bitcoin. So I want to be touching on Bitcoin to start off with here, the trendline support, how that links with the Elliott wave count. And so we'll cover that on Bitcoin. But I also want to focus today on altcoins. So if you trade altcoins, you're going to absolutely love this video. Even if you don't, you're going to learn a lot. This is going to be a great educational video for you in terms of learning the most important factor here where I see so many people mess up. And that is, how do you confidently long altcoins while Bitcoin is in the middle of a large drop to the downside and there's a lot of uncertainty around Bitcoin? Can we still long altcoins in those scenarios? Well, of course we can, but you need to be careful and you need to be well planned out. And that is what I want to discuss and really assist you with in today's video of making that plan, sticking to the plan, trading the plan, and what comes off the back of that. So yeah, truly, I mean it. This is going to be a video I'm really looking forward to making because I truly know it is going to absolutely help so many people. So yeah, with that said, we're going to come over to what should we start off with here? We will start very briefly. I want to go through Bitcoin, and that is, of course, where we hit into that once again, that trend line support. So I've been talking through this would have been around 5 days ago in a video where we had this 2-4 trend line where we had the low of 2 to the wave 4 low, and we had this really nice trend line. And 1 week ago on Friday last week with that very large liquidation run, we actually bounced, as you can see here, very perfectly off of that trend line support that we had. And then yesterday you actually came down for a retest of this trend line. That's just to say that trend line that we have been saying is very important is still currently holding on Bitcoin. But with that said, I want to move across first to altcoins a second, and that is while Bitcoin, because you have to understand that Bitcoin yesterday was moving down fairly heavily, right? We went pretty quick over the past few days from $112,000 all the way down to around $103,000. Okay, and there's a lot of uncertainty, you can say, around that. We haven't got the total wick fill. We've hit into the trend line, and so we're in this little bit of a zone where it's, you know, as I say, a little bit hard to trade Bitcoin. And so if we are still thinking, well, Bitcoin can drop more, should we be longing altcoins? I want to say, first of all, is that we have a plan for longing Ethereum. So this was my altcoin stream. Ethereum was trading around $4,100. And we had a plan to long Ethereum around $3,680, which was moving into our CC Fibonacci zone, back into the consolidation lows, into the daily. And it was based off of this harmonic. So we have a plan to long Ethereum on a drop. We knew we needed to see Bitcoin drop at the same time. And so you have to understand that I have, by the way, taken a long. This is a long on a challenge account that I have. It is just a small trading account. It's an account that I'm happy to share publicly, we can say. And this trade currently is what, $7,500 of profit. The stop loss is in profit, which even if this stop loss is hit, this trade is guaranteed $2,500 of profit. And again, this is not even been in the trade 1 day yet. So, you know, not bad, $8,000 in 24 hours, right? Or under 24 hours, we can say. But anyway, I want to talk you through this and then what we're looking at next. Are we actually looking for Ethereum to come to $4,500? You know, that's the plan here. But of course, I want to update this because since this, you know, live stream, we have seen a drop and we have seen a bounce off the back of it, right? So first of all, the question that I said of, can we long altcoins while Bitcoin is dropping? Well, you can see you can, because I've longed it and I've made profits, but it's not just randomly. First step was we had the plan. We had the plan of it coming down into this level, but it's all well and good, right? I know everyone can have this plan, but it is then having the confidence to long during the middle of a large Bitcoin decline. I just want to show you here. This was from my this is from my members only Discord yesterday during the drop. And I was saying, as I was taking this long trade on Ethereum, I've been saying the altcoins that we've been looking at, such as Solana, Ethereum, we're looking at a few different altcoins in this stream. They have come down to the harmonic support that I have showed on that stream, and I refer to this stream. And I've said I am happy to take the long setups here, regardless of what's happening on Bitcoin. And because what I mean by this is Bitcoin is dropping heavily, right? Bitcoin is in the middle of a very heavy drop right now. But this is still a long setup that I'm very happy to take. So you can see this was at around 255 in the New York initial balance. This print screen was, 2 hours later, we started to get, just a few percent bounce to the upside. That is, that is now 6% to the upside. But the first thing that I want to just really, really emphasize is the thing people struggle with the most, and that is you have to plan to long Ethereum on a dip. But then when that dip comes, the majority of the people get scared. They will not take the long. They will cancel their orders. They will sit back thinking, well, I'm a bit scared. To be honest, if you think they're a bit scared to long Ethereum because Bitcoin could drop more. Okay, it could drop more, so I'm not going to long Ethereum. And that is where, truly the confidence that I can give. Once you see me saying I'm going to be taking my Ethereum and altcoin longs now, you can imagine that's probably going to give you a lot of confidence. And hopefully, that is what I can give here is a lot of confidence, because I did take that Ethereum long. And again, that trade now for $7,500 profit guaranteed, even if my stop loss is hit. $2,500. So, at the very least, it's still a healthy amount of profit for a day of trading. But anyway, so you make the plan. Then when it comes into the support, this wasn't a random decision to take the long at this point in time. I recognize what Bitcoin is at, and like I said here, don't forget, we are at this lovely trend line support on Bitcoin. It's not like we're at some random zero level of support. We have got a little bit of support showing up here. Again, I do not say this is a massive, massive support level, but intraday, we can start to get a bit of a bounce here. But, can definitely get a bit of a bounce off of that support level. Do I think we can still head down lower? Yes, but that's still an intraday support, we can say. And lining up then with Ethereum coming down to the support level that we've been waiting for, and several different other altcoins, by the way, not just Ethereum, but that I have the confidence to, regardless of Bitcoin, whether it drops a little bit more, the setup is still strong. It's still a strong setup on the altcoins that we've been planned and ready and waiting for. And so that is how, personally, I have the confidence to take that trade even while Bitcoin is dropping. So if we just come over to the Ethereum chart, you can actually see that this is what we were looking for. So this exact same setup again. We had to wait for them to drop from $4,050 to be precise there. It had to wait for a significant drop to the downside, right? In terms of percentage, we're waiting for nearly a 10% drop. I know a lot of people, this is another very, very common mistake. Two mistakes that people will make here. Number one is while it's at $4,000 here, they will long. They've already got the FOMO. They've already saw the large bounce. They're thinking, oh my God, the low is in. I'm not going to get a retrace. FOMO. I know people are FOMOing in. They don't wait for the retracements. They end up longing, thinking, oh yeah, we've flipped $4,000 into support. I'm going to take my longs here. And then what happens when it drops down to the real entry? They've been stopped out. They've been liquidated. They are upset. They're thinking, oh my God, this is going to go down even further. And this is why you have to have patience. You have to have patience for the drops into support, because if you had FOMO longed up here, well, first of all, you would have lost money. Second of all, when it actually hits support, you probably wouldn't have longed because you've already lost all your money actually to begin with. And you probably would have thought it's going to drop even lower. And so, by making these plans to long on the drops, you avoid the FOMO longs up at the highs, and you actually can take advantage of when you drop into those support levels. So again, 10% drop to the downside, it came into our wonderful support. And from there, I personally have taken a long trade. And again, I alerted to my team that I have taken that long trade. And we also actually got, as you can see, like Solana and a few different altcoins. Look at me with the 6 a.m. updates here, by the way, but Tao, I don't know how you even pronounce this, Tao, who knows? I have no idea what the altcoin is, but I do know that I was planned ready to trade this one. We had this setup coming down, very similar setup into the CC Fibonacci, into the point of control, longs there around $355. The way this played out was just wonderful, coming down into the CC really, really perfectly there, into the point of control, into the lower to CC. And this actually bounced 20% to the upside. So Tower actually 20% bounced from entry, by the way. And of course, this is already locked into a strong take profit one, which is our downtrend anchored VWAP. But again, you would only have the confidence to long that drop, if you were planned for that drop. Okay, we actually had a short trade planned into a long trade. So in your plan for these types of moves, it's very well, let's just say it's a lot easier. I'm never going to say it's easy, but it's a lot easier. Okay, the same when we were talking about there on Ethereum, it was a lot easier to take that trade. Why? Because we were planned for it 6% bounce already. Another example here, and this is the last one I will show you here on this video, but we had planned for this EIGEN coin, right? You can see the alerts 1.09. That's where we have the alerts. That's what we're basically waiting for. This is an even bigger percentage drop, but basically waiting for a little bit of a fake out of the range low, hit the alert, fake out the range low, reclaim the range low. That's exactly what happened here. That alert actually was at the exact dollar low. So you can see reclaim after the swing failure pattern fake out. Again, this is around this looks small, but this is a 10% bounce to the upside. Again, if all of these altcoins just drop now to zero, well, that's still a profitable long trade. Why? Because take profits have been hit. I've been saying here, take profit, 20% bounces, like take profits, very nice take profit that you should be taking at the very least, moving stop losses up into profits. Like these altcoins are guaranteed profits, even if it does this now, even if it just dumps off the face of the earth, we have guaranteed ourselves profit. And that's what trading is about, guaranteeing profits, right? You can now relax, because I linked this back to Bitcoin. When we look at Bitcoin, I think around $107,000 is key. We're currently trading 106.9. So we need to see a strong reclaim going into Monday. So again, we're on Saturday. So we got Saturday, Sunday, and a bit of Monday's price action to come. We need to see a strong reclaim of around, I would really be saying between these closes, let's call it $108,000. We need to see a strong reclaim of 108K to have confidence in a low being in here. Unless we can get that reclaim, well, then I would say that there is still a very large probability of another downside move to come here. So I would really like to see, I'd say there's a few key levels here on Bitcoin that you'd want to see reclaim. I mean, we're talking about, when you want to talk about strong levels, we're talking about value area lows. We're talking about downtrend anchored VWAPs. I mean, we to be honest with you here, I would say to have any confidence, high confidence in a Bitcoin low here, I would want to see the reclaim, actually, to be honest with you, of the strongest resistance right now, which is that support resistance flip, which is the value area low, which is the downtrend anchored VWAP. That is around $110,000, $111,000. So unless we can reclaim that, I would say, yeah, of course, it's still very likely that we can make a new low on Bitcoin, because there has been no sign of strength. And I always think that this is key when it comes to Bitcoin, is thinking in terms of probabilities and having the openness that probabilities change. So right now we could say, what's the probability of the Bitcoin low being in? And it's going to be very low. We're going to be talking around 20%. Like, this is a very low probability that the low is in. Could the low be in? Well, the answer is yes. We have hit our trend line support. Again, I do not think that's a major support. Okay, have we seen any sign of strength here? Okay, let's think about it. We have put in a high of this local trend, a high, a low, a lower high, ultimately a lower low, a lower high, a lower low, a lower high, a lower low. This is still potentially what? Following a down trend. Okay, so it is still in a downtrend right now. So the probability of the low being in is still low. Why? We haven't hit a massive support level on Bitcoin, and we are still in a local downtrend. So the probability is the highest that lower prices are going to come, and we will head down towards, these levels such as $100,000, right? Coming down, and we haven't filled this wick yet. So this is something that we have to really understand. But, if we can say the probability of the low being in is 20%, and again, this is not necessarily what I'm expecting now, but let's say we end up doing a bit of a sign of strength. That is the market structure changes. That is the reclaims of our significant resistance, flipping them back into support. Let's say next week we start to trade Wednesday next week, right? We're trading at $112,000. Well, then the probability right now, today, of the low being in, we can say is 20%. If we start to get those massive signs of strength, reclaims, market structure changes, significant levels, reclaimed, then we can say those probabilities are increased to 80%. Now we're not looking for new lows, right? So you just have to understand that those probabilities are, of course, always updating, and that is how a good trader views the market, period. I don't care what anyone else says, like, that is how a good trader views the market. You have to be able to flow with the market and understand probabilities change, and you're trading with those highest probabilities. So yeah, right now I do expect lower on Bitcoin, and that is why we do have to be careful. We can say, it would be a little bit let's just say not the correct decision, right? Let's say you longed the bottom of Tao. Again, have no idea what the coin name is, but we can still make profit. That's what I love about crypto. 20% bounces to the upside, right? We're locking in the take profit. So if the lower prices come, again, profit has been guaranteed. What I would say here on the altcoins, though, is I do like to support a lot more. But I do understand for sure if Bitcoin decides to drop here and take out and trade below $100,000, I already know I'm going to get stopped out of my altcoin longs. Okay, I'm not going to be surprised about that. I'm not going to sit there thinking, wow, I can't believe that happened. No, of course it happened, right? Bitcoin jumped. Bitcoin had a massive drop. But the thing here that I want to emphasize that one final time for you is the profits are guaranteed. And that is the position you want to be in as a trader. Okay, imagine, 24 hours every day, you're making at least $2,500. Again, this is not even a big trading account. No one's going to be upset about making $2,500 a day. So it's like it's just getting in that position where you can get a little win, and eventually you get that big home run, and you make a trade. Instead of $2,500, maybe that big trade ends up in 2.5. Whatever X number you want to put in there, $20,000, who cares, right? It's going to be, let's call it the home run win, right? So you take little win, small loss, little win, small loss, bam, home run. You make your yearly profits in a trade. And that's what you get when you're trading the altcoins in crypto, right? One of those trades is going to end in the home run. All right, last week, we were short in Ethereum. Last week we were short in Ethereum from 4,500. Our home run literally was taking that down to $3,500. 30% drop in a week. Last week we were short in Ethereum. This week we were long in Ethereum. Like, we're playing both sides of the market. Shorts at resistance, longs at supports, and truly, chart champions right now are crushing this market. Whether you like it or not, we are absolutely predicting, crushing, calling each step of the way here, this market right now. Two things that I want to say before I end. Number one is very quickly to say, if you are interested in me doing a thing on trusts, I've talked about this before and there wasn't a lot of interest. So I'm just putting it out there. This month I was saying I made a few more zeros, but technically, yeah, still worth $0. Why? Because everything is via a trust. No assets in personal name. Something I've learned over the years and something I changed. No assets in personal names. Nothing. Everything going by a trust. Of course, you don't want to declare everything in your country, make it sure it's a fully good legal structure, but asset protection over ownership. If you're interested in this, let me know, because I'm personally super, I enjoy it, but I'm not going to bother doing a video if no one cares. Who else cares? And the next thing I wanted to say is this, that Chart Champions, by the way, if you are interested in following on the official Twitter account, there's a lot of educational content here, such as this, like hedging and trading, how to protect your money. And we're doing some really, really nice work here, and it's just putting it out there. Of course, my Twitter is the CC Paul Daniel, but the official Chart Champions one also has, a lot of educational content that we're making here. So you can give that a follow, and you can even DM and speak to a human should you need any assistance. Anyway, I wrap it up there. I hope this was just a quick weekend video, Saturday. If you want a more in-depth Bitcoin video, you know what to do. Smash those likes. I'll say this, 5,000 likes. I will do a live trading stream for you here on YouTube. Like, that is what you want, but you need to smash those likes. That's a fair deal. Like, this video is getting 10,000 views. Half the people like it. Let's go for a nice little trading live stream here on YouTube. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Other than that, I hope you've enjoyed. That's how I trade altcoins. Again, summary, make the plan. When prices dropping, you want to see Bitcoin at least with intraday confluence. Yes, would I long altcoins if Bitcoin's in the middle of nowhere, no support close by? No. But Bitcoin, when it starts to then consolidate on the trend line, that's intraday support. It's a strong level on your altcoins. Like, that gives me the confidence to long those altcoins. We had the plan. We waited intraday for the reactions. They were given. Trades were taken. Again, literally calling it to, I'm happy to take the long trade. Like, there's no hindsight here. Again, as I was taking the long, and here we are. Profits secured 100%. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Thank you ever so much. And if you want more from me, you know where to get it, right? Chartchampions.com, your one-stop shop, literally. Live trading streams, educational streams, Bitcoin streams, altcoin streams, futures streams, stock market streams, everything you need on top of the whole educational library. I mean it, Chart Champions. We're putting in all the effort right now. And that's why we're the best. Hope you've enjoyed. Cheers. Thank you, and goodbye.